Good morning and welcome to Reminds Weekly Reminders. I hope everyone had a great weekend and we're excited about this week. It's Motivation Monday. My name is Lauren and I am a program coordinator for Remind, and today I'll be discussing embracing the unknown, 4 ways to navigate anxiety. I know that during this time, it is hard not to be anxious with all of the uncertainty and the disruption that COVID-19 has really brought into our everyday lives. I know for me, and I'm sure you can relate, that it has truly been an adjustment, both mentally and emotionally. Just the heaviness of the various worries, whether it be related to our health, to the death of loved ones, or seeing death via the media, finances, worry about losing a job, being socially isolated, and even just the future in general. It has really been unsettling. So if you're like me, it's a constant struggle to make sense of it all, and just to try to develop some type of normalcy to remain optimistic. But one of the things that I wanted to tell you today is that, we're all in this together. Anxiety is normal. I'm sure that we're all feeling it. But we'll get through this. And so just remaining positive. And so today, my goal is to bring some comfort and some ease and providing some tips of kind of navigating and motivating you through this time and managing your anxiety. So first off, what is anxiety? I'm sure that when you think of anxiety, it can look different for everybody, but anxiety is feeling uneasy, worriness, apprehension, and really intense fear, right? So when you think about anxiety, anxiety is a fear emotion. It's based in fear, and one of the things is that it's rooted in our body's stress response. And I'm sure all of you may be familiar with the fight, flight, and freeze response. And this is our body's physiological response to perceived threat or danger. So in a sense, it helps us to survive and to identify danger. And so with that, it makes sense to have some anxiety, right? It makes sense to have some anxiety to help you be prepared and to protect you from identified danger. And even with the COVID-19, having some anxiety to prepare yourself by staying vigilant and washing your hands, avoiding certain places and large groups to prevent exposure of the virus, staying informed. So having some sense of anxiety is beneficial. However, when our anxiety levels start to get high, and it can become a hindrance. So when I think of anxiety and fear, that equals what? Panic, right? So when we're in a panic state, our thinking can become irrational, our emotions become reactive, and then our behavior becomes impulsive, right? And so with anxiety, we can have symptoms of irritability, lack of concentration, overindulgence, which I must admit, I've been indulging on Doritos and guacamole. Sorry. And also insomnia. I know for most of us, anxiety can trigger us when we're sleeping, right? And so it can kind of mess up and intrude on your sleeping patterns. All right. So when we talk about the 4 ways to navigating anxiety, one of the ways to navigate anxiety is 1, grounding yourself. So what does that mean? So grounding means to create a space to disconnect from those negative feelings, negative thoughts, unwanted memories. It's about really taking a minute to align yourself to the present, right? To the here and now. So much of our anxiety is driven into the future, right? Of our assumptions, what could be, what ifs. And so one of the biggest causes of anxiety is really not living in the now, not living in the present, right? So it's so important for us to remember that we have to stay vigilant of the present and living in the now and trusting ourselves to get through this, right? So some grounding techniques, some of my favorites are a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this technique is really simple. It's really just taking a minute to look around and identify 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. And what this does is it kind of helps you calm down and realign your focus. So instead of having these thoughts running up and down in your mind, taking a minute to really observe what's around you, that's being focused in the present, right? Another grounding technique that is my favorite is simply just being present while drinking my tea or my coffee. I'm a big tea drinker, so I love drinking tea. And so one of the things I think in terms of grounding is just really just take a sip, really think about the aromas. So I can taste the cinnamon, I can taste the clove, I can taste the ginger, right? And so as I do that, then I start to really take in how it feels when I swallow that warm liquid, right? And it's almost like a time for meditation. And so it can bring a sense of calm because I'm being present in the moment and I'm not allowing other things to distract me. So I think that's a great tool to manage your anxiety as well. So the next thing of navigating anxiety is to develop awareness. Having emotional awareness gives us a sense of ability of what our emotions are, right? So especially during this time, we have an array of emotions, right? Anxiety, frustration, confusion, right? And so having a sense of awareness allows us to really pinpoint what we're feeling, right? It helps us gain understanding so that we know how to manage our emotions, right? So asking yourself, why am I feeling this way? What is triggering me in this moment? What are the emotions that I'm feeling, right? And where am I feeling it in my body, right? One of the things that I do is a body scan. So I scan my body and I'm able to identify exactly where I'm feeling this anxiety or this frustration, whether I'm getting tense in my shoulders, I'm feeling a tightness in my chest, I have nervousness in my stomach, right? So that's me being able to identify where my emotions are. And having a sense of awareness also is helpful in advance so that you know the warning signs when you feel anxious or when you feel nervous or when you start to feel yourself worrying, right? So being emotionally aware is so important so that you know how to manage your emotions. And for some of us who are stuck in our household with our family, having a sense of awareness also allows us to communicate our feelings to our families so they can know how to support us. And having that extra support always makes us feel good and feel validated in our feelings, right? All right, so the third thing to managing and navigating anxiety is reframing negative thinking. I think this one is the most important because what we think, we also feel, right? There's a connection between the way we think, the way we feel, and then our behavior, right? So imagine this, it's a fun fact. We, on a minimum, have 60,000 thoughts per day, minimum. Wow, right? So you can imagine if I have 60,000 thoughts minimum per day, and those thoughts are negative, right? Think about how that will impact how I feel and then what I do, right? So if my thinking is, oh my God, I'm stuck in this house, or I'm not safe, my emotions can be what? A sense of panic, a sense of worry, a sense of frustration, and then my behavior could emulate that, right? So when our everyday life is interrupted, right, our emotions have a sense of they are heightened, right? And then if these things are interfering with our day-to-day, then it creates a negative shift in our mind. And so being cautious and being aware of how influential our thinking has to do with how we feel. And so the thoughts, feelings, and our behavior all have a connection. And I think the biggest thing and a sense of encouragement for you is to understand that we have to focus on the things that are in our control. Because right now, our environment is out of our control, or the situation that we're in is out of our control. But the one thing that we can focus on and we have the ability to maintain is what we're doing and how we react to these situations. So I think that's helpful to me is I use a lot of positive self-talk, because I believe what I think is reflected in my attitude. And so if I wake up every morning and I say to myself, I'm not alone in this, right? This is only temporary. I can get through this. I'm safe as long as I'm following precautions. That gives me a sense of hope and optimism, and it makes me feel at ease, right? So challenging those negative thoughts, right? So what I mean by that, for example, when we think about social distancing, right? So how can I reframe that, right? And so if I can reframe that into physical distancing versus social distancing, right? So being social, I can call my friends, I can find ways to connect with my loved ones through FaceTime, through WhatsApp. There are various ways for me to connect, but reframing that social distancing to just physical distancing makes a big difference in my mind, right? Because I know that I have to be cautious about who I'm around, but I can still connect with people in different ways. So that's an example of reframing those negative thoughts, right? I'll give you one more example. I'm stuck inside, right? So if I'm thinking that, oh my God, I'm isolated, I don't have anybody, right? Then I can reframe that to, I'm in an environment where I'm safe, I'm with my family, I'm able to be creative and really think about how to improve myself every day. So I have a space where I'm safe, right? So that's helpful in reframing. So that's another example of just reframing those negative thoughts, all right? So the last thing is to take action. So practicing healthy coping skills to bring your mind and yourself in balance. Every day when I wake up, for me, I have to do some type of activity, whether it's like working out, whether it's meditation, something that aligns me back to creating the day that I want for myself. And that's a positive day, to give myself time to just think and have clarity, right? And so practicing healthy coping skills, right? Such as journaling, adult coloring. I'm gonna show you guys one of the things that I did over the weekend, right? So what I did was I did some paint, and this was at the dollar store, and I was able to get this. And it was a fun activity for me to tap into my creativity, to give me some ease, to distract my mind, and just have fun, right? So even doing simple things like this, meditation. I know my coworker is an advocate for meditation, and so I have really been trying to do that, and I think that's a great activity. Yoga, right? There's so many apps that you can follow along for beginners, intermediate, or advanced. Exercise, setting a weekly goal, right? So you can set a goal every 3 days, right? Create a routine for yourself. These are healthy practices for healthy coping skills. And last but not least, I would say just being able to give yourself affirmations to calm your anxiety, right? So like I said earlier, knowing that this is only temporary, knowing that we're in this together, knowing that I am safe, right? Knowing that I'm taking precautionary measures to make sure that I can ease my stress. I can focus on the now. I can focus on my present, because that is what's in my control. So I hope that these tips were helpful for you. I know, like I said, these are tips that I follow every day just to kind of ease my anxiety as well, and get me through these challenging times. And I think we all need a sense of encouragement, hope, and comfort during this time. And so I want to let you know that you're not alone in this. And so we are grateful for you guys joining and listening in to our weekly reminders. And so I thank you today for joining me. If you have any questions, comments, or even some topic suggestions, please comment below and join us on Wednesday for another weekly reminder titled Grief, Aim COVID-19. And also make sure to visit our website, remindsupport.org, for additional resources during this time. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. 4 ways to navigate your anxiety: ground yourself, develop awareness, reframe negative thinking, and take action. I'm wishing you guys a wonderful day, Motivation Monday. Have a great week. See you guys. Make sure you tune in on Wednesday at the same time. Thank you.